can't beat them, then you pop them. You can't man them, then you mop them. You can't stand them, then you drop them. You pop them, cause we pop them like overridden vodka. C3, okay, a millionaire. I'm a young money millionaire.
To the hip hop, the hip it to the hip hop, you don't stop the rocket to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat, and me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet. You see, I am Wonder Mike, and I like to say hello. Up to the black, to the white, the red, and the brown, and the purple and yellow. But first I gotta bang bang the boogie to the boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the bang bang boogie. Let's rock. You don't stop, rock the rhythm that'll make your body rock. Well, so far you've heard my voice, but I brought two friends along. And next on the mic is my man Hank. Come on, Hank, sing that song.
Check it out, I'm the CASN, the OVA, and the rest is FLY. You see, I go by the code of the doctor of the mix, and these reasons I'll tell you why. You see, I'm 6'1", and I'm tons of fun, and I dress to a T. You see, I got more clothes than Muhammad Ali, and I dress so viciously. I got bodyguards, I got two big guns that definitely ain't the whack. I got a Lincoln Continental and a sunroof Cadillac. So after school, I take a dip in the pool, which is really on the wall. I got a color TV so I can see the Knicks play basketball. Him and juggle my checkbook, credit cards more money than a sucker could ever spend. But I wouldn't give a
We'll
sucker
be going
or a
live.
not a dime till I made it
1
again.
minute.
Everybody go, hotel, motel, what you gonna do today? Is I'm gonna get a fly girl, gonna get some spank and drive off in a death OJ. Everybody go, hotel, motel, holiday inn. You see, if your girl starts acting up, then you take her friend. I'm Master G, I'm out mellow, it's on you, so what you gonna do?
Well, it's on and on and on and on and on. The beat don't stop until the break of dawn. I said a M-A-S, a T-E-R, a G with a double E. I said I go by the unforgettable name of the man they call a Master G. Well, my name is known all over the world by all the foxy ladies and the pretty girls. I'm going down in history as the baddest rapper that ever could be. Now I'm feeling the highs and you're feeling the lows. The beat starts getting into your toe. You start popping your fingers and stomping your feet and moving your body while you're sitting and you're sitting. Then damn, you start doing the freak. I said bam, right out of your seat. Then you throw your hands high in the air. You rock it to the rhythm, shake your dairy air. You rock it to the beat without a care. Cruise the short shot MCs for the affair. Now I'm not as tall as the rest of the gang, but I rap to the beat just the same. I got a little face and a pair of rhyme eyes. All I'm here to do, ladies, is hypnotize. Sing it on and on and on and on and on. The beat don't stop until the break of dawn. I sing it on and on and on and on and on like a hot butter. The pop, the pop, the pop, give it, pop, the pop, pop. You don't dare. Come alive, yo. Give me what you got.
Let's go live.
Good morning.
All right, we are live. Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We have a very special guest. It is Midweek Markets, and today we're going to be talking with the founder of Kalshinomics. And why this is so cool, it's like this world is drowning basically in fake news, all these bias polls. Federal Reserve works off vibe checks, you know, if he likes the president or not. Our next guest believes the only thing you can trust in the market is where people are putting their money where their mouths are. So he's the founder of Kalshinomics. I'm sure you guys have heard of Polymarket, Kalshi. We just had Predicts on yesterday. And so these are popping up everywhere. And what's really cool about this is they encourage, you know, insider trading in a sense. So let's get into that. We're going to bring in a few of the markets itself, talk about Kalshi markets. But Aaron, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, guys. So yeah, just to clarify, I'm the co-founder of Kalshinomics. I actually built it with my older brother, who also worked as like a professional trader in his career. But yeah, happy to be on, talk prediction markets, kind of go whatever angle you guys want to take it.
Yeah, well, go into your background a little bit, because we just talked, I think it was yesterday, the day before, and I found you on Twitter, and I was like, hey, we need some guys that are.
Yeah. So I'm a data guy. I have a background like working in data analytics, mostly in the healthcare industry. But about a year ago, I got laid off from my corporate job, and this was not as hot as it is right now, but like very interesting to get into prediction markets. And I had dabbled with them to some extent in the past. So I really like went all in as far as one, starting to like trade a little bit more, but two, starting my X account, working on content. And then I eventually teamed up with the founder of another data tool that's called Polymarket Analytics. So I helped run their socials, did some like data work there, and the founder ended up getting hired to work full time at Polymarket. So naturally, I kind of thought that there was blank space in the Kalshi world, and that's where I was personally trading as well. So we created this kind of simple data tool where you can search for markets, sort, filter, etc.
And one thing, maybe golf is a better analogy, but like a scratch golfer, you're a plus EV gambler. And so you told me 2 days ago, which is very rare in the space. You talk to all of your friends like, oh, I missed the parlay about like one leg. That happens to me all the time as well. And so talking with someone that is looking at pure from like mathematics, right? Not just like the vibes, you think someone's going to win or someone's going to lose. You're taking a deep data, an analytical approach here. And so talk to us just real quick. I know you had a background in like poker. I think you mentioned, you're a successful gambler previously. So how did that play a role in building out Kalshinomics?
Yeah, so I guess first I'll just caveat, like I've been successful in prediction markets and in some other like gambling endeavors as well, but I am by no means like one of these top sharks that is making, hundreds of thousands. So just want to leave that out there. But generally, I have been able to be plus EV in this world. So, I started playing poker, playing Texas Hold'em when it really blew up in like the early 2000s. My older brothers were doing the same thing. So I kind of was learning from them, like, playing home games. And then eventually that led to like the online poker boom. So like party poker, full tilt, and all of those. I was playing a lot, having 8 tables on the screen at once, in addition to having like overlays of analytics of like what each trader has done and like what percentage of time. So that worked quite well. And I actually never had like a real internship in college because I just continued playing poker over the summers because it was more profitable. Getting my first corporate job was a little strange because my resume was like serious poker player, but finally someone still considered me given that. But I've also, arbitrage like casino bonuses. I think I've kind of gone through all of them like over time. I'm not like a person that like shoots off random sports bets with the exception of just having fun here and there. But I'm willing to like take plus EV bets or arbitrage where that happens. And prediction markets, there also are, quite a lot of like arbitrage opportunities while these markets are still relatively inefficient.
Yeah, I even on the one we looked at yesterday, I should have mentioned something because I saw arbitrage on the same site. They had one that was a little bit better. If you didn't want the Seahawks and you thought the Patriots are going to win, you could have gotten arb on the exact same, question, which was interesting. So let's dive in here. You gave me a few topics you feel pretty strongly about. So the first one, let me share my screen here. So we'll go to Kalshi. Fed chair. So let me. Who will Trump nominate as the Fed chair? So we've seen a lot of movement here. I know a lot of the Bitcoiners out there want Hassett, and Hassett's come down quite a bit, but I know he was taking the early lead. What about? I mean, obviously not. Why did you choose this? This is probably on everyone's mind and taking a look. But what do you have to share here? What can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, so this is certainly just one of the larger and I would say more important markets right now, just because this is going to kind of help guide where the Fed moves into the future. And Trump has obviously like signaled that, he wants lower rates. He's been pressuring Powell by quite a bit there as well. But at the same time, there's like an importance that the Fed has like their own independence. So I think there's something that's going through his brain as far as, well, you never know with Trump to some degree, but that like it will optically look better if the Fed would have that independence. So looking at the market right now, what do we have? I think there's really like 4 main candidates. So Kevin Warsh, Rick Rieder, Kevin Hassett, and Christopher Waller. And initially, it was Warsh and Hassett that were really kind of neck and neck. It was like almost a 50-50 coin flip. And Trump said something about like Hassett having to like stay in his current role. Like he's like too important to be there. So that's what like really drove him down from like 40% to I think as low as like 5 or so. But now he's back up in like 10-11% or so. And one other thing, I'll share my positions, but at the same time, I'm not going to give like financial advice by any means, but I'm currently like long on Warsh and Waller. And part of the reason there is like, I like to look at Polymarket positions as well. And I don't know if you're familiar with the top trader Domer, but he's like the highest P&L guy on Polymarket. And he might have other wallets, but on his primary wallet, you can see every single position that he has. And his largest position was like a no on Kevin Hassett for like the longest time. And so I kind of tailed that to some degree. And that's not always, the best advice, but in this case, it worked. And then I guess the last thing I'll say is Rick, I think it's Rieder, really pumped in the last day or so. And he's kind of like the private market. I think he's some type of like senior leader at BlackRock. Trump might like that as far as like the private sector, but I'm not as bullish on him just because of that like Fed independence. You don't really want like Wall Street to run the Fed per se. But again, I'm learning about this as I go. That's part of the reason I love prediction markets. It's like, it gives me like a new lens to like read the news and learn about these various events.
Yeah. So for something like this market specifically, are you drawn to it because of the volume and popularity? Because okay, there's going to be enough volume so that the market's like not going to be swayed by some big whale coming through, even though you may not be tied in or have inside info with the Trump administration to know who he's going to nominate. And I think another good point you made is on tailing big traders. That's maybe something that to pinpoint on just for new users, new people to prediction markets, is before you even put $1 in, is go look at what positions people have that are the most profitable traders and understand their mindset, at least from the outside of, oh, okay, here's, why they're saying no 75% of the time. They're not everything is a 10% chance, Hail Mary. They're like being responsible, or maybe they just do very selected bets where it seems like they must have asymmetric information. I guess for you, like what attracts you to this market? Like what markets do you find interesting? Is it purely volume on this? Is it big news or what?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the few. And I would say that like generally when there's a lot more volume, I have more faith in the accuracy of the market. So, using prediction markets as like a news signal, I also find fascinating. So 1, it's like, it's really hot in the news. 2, it has like top volume. 3, it's going to like kind of guide the economy to some degree. And I had an economics major, so I'm also like personally drawn like towards those types of markets. So yeah, that's the bulk of it.
I was trying to pull up. I saw one this morning with a Polymarket whale with like 100% accuracy opened up a huge short on Bitcoin. And I need to find that, so I'm not setting alarm bells off. But I mean, how much, this insider trading, should you really pay attention to that? If you see $300 million put on Bitcoin, like, are you changing your positions with Bitcoin right now? Are you changing, are you buying puts on IBIT? Or do you kind of, you use it as some signal, but it's not necessarily end all be all.
I think I lost audio for a second. Let me just drop out for 1 second, get a new pair of headphones here.
We actually just told him who Satoshi was, and he couldn't hear it though.
Yeah, who's this whale that's betting or putting a big
find it? If someone can find it and throw it in the comment section, that'd be helpful. But there are, I mean, everything's on chain, so that's kind of the cool piece of this. There's no like dark pools like there are with stocks, and so you can see everyone's movement. So we're going to be getting into a few other ones as well when he pops back in, talking about price of Bitcoin, and we're going to be talking about just the different models in general. I can't speak today. We'll give him a minute here. Jodes, how's your Kalshi looking?
Dude, I haven't even opened it up right now.
Because
we're on Predicts now. So we're jumping in with Predicts, built on the Bitcoin Lightning Network. We had Sanjay Shah yesterday on the show. So I have to move to the Bitcoin-based platform, using the Lightning Network. We obviously do that 21 rates, but I'll still be using Kalshi, but I'm going to focus on getting into Predicts a little more. They are a sponsor of the show, but how many prediction markets do we have out there that are using Lightning, which we are fully behind. So right now, I think all of my, Bitcoin back to 100K by end of January, markets are probably just doing not too well. But we'll see. It's something I'm going to hold on to because I think, with this market, with what Trump's saying, changing, the mind on Greenland, forced tariffs daily, I think you can bounce back. We'll see.
All right, Aaron, we got you back. Let's put up the screen again here. So what? I have a question just in general. Are the bots here yet for all these prediction markets? And meaning like they have some AI tool that's out there listening to Trump and trading in real time, based off information, negative or positive towards one of these guys?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think we're somewhere there. I do think that like a lot of these markets are still pretty inefficient, but there are trading firms that are starting to heavily market make these markets. And another big one is like Fed interest rates, which already are like very popular and common in like the TradFi world. So now it's like they can just use their models and plug them directly into Kalshi or Polymarket. So we're somewhere in between, and I also think it like varies a lot based on like the volume and liquidity in these markets. So this one, has a ton of volume. So I'd expect there to be like a lot more like institutional and or like bots that are involved.
Let's pull up another one here. Or Jody, do you want to pull up another Kalshi? Shit, sorry about that. I'm clicking around. That's not my role. You do it, Jodes. Help me out here. Yeah, I'm pulling up another Kalshi market here. And I guess let's even just go to the homepage real quick and show us how you even start your day. How do you navigate Kalshi as you're walking through this?
Well, first I go to Kalshinomics, the tool that we're building. But so that just kind of gives you like an easier way to actually like see these all through like a simple table. So hop into the Kalshi logo right there. Yeah. Okay. So everything is being sorted descending by open interest right now. So are you guys kind of aware of like the volume open interest difference? Yeah. Okay, so generally it's like that's the most money at stake. So, I think that's like a better starting point than total volume to some degree. And then we can like quickly see what are these largest markets like currently at play. So Fed chair is up there. I like to look at like the nominee and presidential markets quite a bit. Not a ton of movement there, but it's really been, Gavin Newsom for the Dems and JD Vance for the Republican Party. And of course, there's just been a lot of like sports related trading as well. So between like the AFC NFC championship this weekend and then upcoming Super Bowl. But I guess to get back to your question, as far as like markets that like I'm looking for to trade, like one of it is like, where do I have edge that other people don't necessarily have? Because I'm willing to take like plus EV bets, regardless of where it is. Mm-hmm. And one place that I think is interesting for that is, have you ever heard of like the term of like bonding in prediction markets?
No.
So, you can go get a treasury bond for 3.5 to 4% yield or something like that. But in some of these markets, like say someone bought Trump to be, the president last year at 50 cents, but then he was still trading at 99 cents and the contract hadn't closed yet. Sometimes there's contracts that have like already expired that people are willing to like sell you contracts for like 99 or 98 cents. So you could easily get screwed over if you like, if you don't actually know that it's certain. But a lot of times I'll take trades that are going to expire in the next few days or the next week or two that are basically guaranteed to happen, that are priced at like 97. Yeah, exactly. So that's one strategy that I've been like employing recently as well.
Interesting. That is cool. So you'll take something like 5% is probably the max that someone's willing to get out early and to get some liquidity, essentially.
Yeah, it all depends. And it's like, is it actually 100% or maybe it's 99.5% and I'm still willing to take that at 98 cents. And we also like allow some like sorting features on some of the other pages. I won't necessarily take us through all of that, but you can, look at like where the ask price is close to 99 cents or something like that.
So you can click right through and it'll bring us into Kalshi. Did we want to, here, let me pull that one up real quick. All right. The Democratic nominee for president. You said, Gavin Newsom's clearly taking the lead. I've heard a little AOC in there. Shapiro was a hot pick for VP last year and he fell off. And then Kamala's still here as well. But you think my dad says it's guaranteed Gavin Newsom. And you're getting decent pricing here as well right now for how much people believe that, in my opinion. But how are you viewing this? Are you looking at it, I guess, more from an analytical perspective?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have any like personal alpha or like money at stake here, but I tend to agree with you that like Gavin is the most likely pick. It is just like, it's also tough because like, that these markets are not going to expire for, 2.5 years or something. Yeah. So one benefit of like trading on Kalshi and Polymarket is you also get a % like interest on your balance. So it's based on the Fed rate for Kalshi. I think it's like 3.25%. But like, you'd be looking to win a 3x in addition to like get that yield over time. But looking at this quickly, I kind of like know on Kamala, if anything.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask while we're here is politics and prediction markets. So, you jumped in the game and you were already building Kalshinomics. What did you think when suddenly prediction markets played a bigger role in, the last year or two of elections, of predicting who was going to be the winner, when the big French whale that made the big splash, but then also people were like, authorities were looking at who else was trading and shouldn't be trading on prediction markets or using inside information. Like, how do you assess how prediction markets have transformed political predictions?
Yeah, so I'm certainly bullish like the industry and the effectiveness of prediction markets, and I do think that having money at stake means a lot more than what people say when they get a random phone call, in addition to like who's actually answering those calls. So I do think that there's like quite a lot of value in that, especially like when these markets do reach significant like volume and liquidity. To the French whale example, I thought it was fascinating that like I think he ran his own little like study or research where he basically asked people, not who are you planning on voting for, but like who do you think your neighbor is voting for, which was kind of like a different way of getting at that answer. And there was this guy Ivan, and I think Scotty Licious is his name on Polymarket. He recently traveled to Portugal to like interview people about the Portugal election. And this like little independent like journalism is so cool in my opinion, like to travel to like a random country and like poll people and get to know like the culture and everything involved in that. So I'm a curious person and I love like using it to like learn more about the world.
What's the alpha on that? Has he got an edge basically from that? That is cool.
Honestly, I don't know the details. I think it was like the first round of the election yesterday. It looks like this guy Seguro is gonna end up taking it. So there's not too much trading left. He's at like 96, 97 bid ask.
Yeah, I think that like you're an economics major, like you mentioned, and I think that sounds like straight out of a textbook of like going in and trying just a very simple but different question of, hey, not who you're voting for, because you might not want to say Trump if it offends someone, at the time, but then your neighbor, you're willing to say and be very open and honest about. It seems like a case study you would just have directly. We haven't seen, I think. Do you worry that there's any way of potentially swaying small elections, or is there anything that's like a negative externality of having money tied to some of these outcomes?
Yes. I'm not just going to say like everything is positive here. And I do think that there are some, differences across exchanges. So like one, for example, like the whole talk of like insider trading gets mentioned a lot. And in trading with Kalshi, because it's a CFTC like regulated exchange, I believe that like most insider trading would actually be illegal. Mm-hmm. Whereas on like a decentralized Polymarket or something else like that, there's not really like the same restrictions. So one, there's like that ability to move things on two different places, but at the same time, the people trading on Kalshi are going to be looking at the Polymarket market. So that insider trading eventually like comes up in Polymarket and then gets shifted over to Kalshi. But to get back to your like original question, one of the things I do love about like Polymarket is that everything is on chain, so you can like see who exactly is like influencing the market or trying to say this candidate is more valued than someone else. Or just yesterday there was a crypto project and I think there were some people trying to scam it, saying it was more valuable than it really was. So I do have some concerns, but generally I think it's like a net positive, for the industry and for the world.
All right, we're coming up on time. Is there one more you want to run through here that you're taking a look at? You feel like you got a little edge?
I guess just as far as like crypto projects go in general, so not necessarily Kalshi, although they do have a lot of like FDV or like fully diluted value markets. And I think that prediction markets have a great opportunity at kind of valuing these new projects. So like things like ICOs and like the amount that's raised for a project or when a project's going to like airdrop, it gives like crypto users a better way to look at like the probabilistic range of the potential outcomes, as opposed to in the past when people are using these like perpetual exchanges or looking at like hyperliquid, and it's like there's a single point value, not like is it going to be between 1 and 2 billion and 2 and 3 billion. Mm-hmm. So love that. I see you got Satoshi moving Bitcoin up here as well. That's more of a memeable market to me, but maybe it'll get hacked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what
and I think it's also just filtering through the news, because I think you have these consistent narratives that come through, like one of them being quantum, and like the first wallet hacked would be Satoshi's wallet, which would have 2 million Bitcoin in it, or 1.5 million Bitcoin in it. And the risk is like, you don't want to like sell everything right now because you're worried about quantum, but it's just because it's the news. It's the new topic that gets the engagement, gets the clicks. And it's been good to see as markets grow, you can start to look at like core versus not, or, will quantum break Bitcoin, or, some of these markets that at least give you sanity on making better long-term decisions of, hey, this is like a 10% chance that Satoshi's, or, in this case, it's 12%. So don't panic. It's maybe not a 6-month year thing, but could happen in 3 to 4 years.
100%. So thank you for coming on, Aaron. We'll have to bring you back, and we got more markets. We'll dive just right in next time. And for those listening, hang tight. We got a cannabis stock expert, Brandon Bolton, coming up. He's spent a lot of time in the space. A good friend of mine as well. So very excited for that. But Aaron, thanks again for popping on. And as we transition over here to Brandon, we'll do a quick ad read for our friends over at Arch. So if you guys are unfamiliar, Arch is the world's leading destination for Bitcoin-backed loans. Let me pull up their website as well as I do that. Arch Lending. Awesome. So Arch provides world-class security and white glove service, so you never have to sell your Bitcoin. If you're listening to this stream, you probably did the hard part. You stacked, you held, you did not panic sell, but real life still happens, right? Taxes, new opportunities, big purchases. I know Jody is looking at some yachts right now. And so selling your Bitcoin just to get some cash, it feels wrong, right? And that's where Arch comes in. Think of it as a flexible line of credit when rates starting as low as 8.5% APR. You borrow what you need, you repay at any time, and you only pay interest on what you use. So this is all without triggering a tax event. And the best part, the Bitcoin stays yours. So you're not actually selling your Bitcoin and never getting it back. As long as you repay the loan, you'll be getting that. Arch has a strict no rehypothecation policy, so your collateral is never lent out. It's held in a qualified, insured bankruptcy remote custody with full transparency. So get your cash today at archlending.com. That's ARCH lending.com. Let's get into the next guest, Jody.
Yeah, let's get in. That's actually something.
Ready, we'll pop on stage here.
Let's get him in.
Hey, let's say,
Get him.
And I do have
professional.
my close partner Brandon Condi as well on in the green room. If you'd like to let him in, he's going to fill in for Weldon. He does a lot of work in tandem with us. Weldon had to hop on a DOJ call. You know how those things.
Yeah. No worries.
Thank you guys for having us on this space. It's been, like as Avi said, we're close, but it's been a long time coming. So thank you, Avi, for having this space. I learned so much even on the last segment of what you talked about. I actually took notes, so I will be joining these quite often.
I love it. Brandon, yeah, it's good to see you. And Condi, you have.
Hey, how you guys doing? Nice to
background,
meet you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, got the stock market on.
Yeah. So Brandon, I know you've going on probably 2-3 years at least now. But for those that don't know you, love to give a quick background, just who you are, why should people listen to you, why should people care, and then Condi, go after Brandon here.
Absolutely.
We'll do. So as you know, Avi, I do a plethora of things, but my main focus really is in the kind of social entrepreneurship space. I work with a lot of nonprofits as well. The only one that's partnered with the White House administration, Department of Justice. A lot of what I do is curate policies or help to re-edit those policies to make better economic environments for operators within this industry. As there's a lot of restrictions, there's a lot of constraints, and just unnecessary and inefficient barriers there. So I, work with a lot of municipalities, state, local governments, all types of governments to kind of give them best practices and educate. However, also I am a huge tech guy as well. I'm big on crypto. That's why I'm right here. And so we are developing some tech solutions in partnership with California to hopefully improve and provide some efficiencies to those deficiencies that they have. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And I do a lot of nonprofit work as well. So I work with about 40 schools here where I'm from in Sacramento, California. So we do consistent work with them and just try to do a lot of good and, make some good money. They kind of go hand in hand.
I love it. Condi, tell us about yourself.
What's going on, guys? How you living?
Good.
Where you guys at in the world?
I'm in New York, right outside New York, in Hoboken. So my OPSEC is gone now. People will find me. Where are you at? Where are you at?
I'm in beautiful Florida. We're in Miami Beach right now.
Nice.
Enjoying
Very
life.
nice.
But yeah, nice to meet you guys.
saw
I'm Brandon Condi.
Indiana win the championship down in Miami. Yeah?
I saw that everyone out here was I saw online someone, he was a food truck guy, sold food out of his truck. He's like, Miami's gonna win. Longtime fan, sold his food truck, put all his money on Miami, and I saw that they lost. So I wish that guy the best in his food truck.
Yeah, I'll put all that money on Carson Beck. I've done it before.
Yeah. Exactly.
What happened?
I said, don't put all that money on Carson Beck. As a Georgia fan.
He's a Georgia fan. Now, we joke that Indiana is the football school of the group now.
Yeah.
Nice.
And what's your background? You a big background in the cannabis space, or?
No, I'm actually, I'm super big in marketing. That's how I made a lot of my money. And then I built out an e-commerce brand online on Amazon. Did very well when I was 24 years old, and just been investing ever since then, and staying busy and partnered up with Brandon on a few projects, and we're having fun and making some money now.
Yeah, he's really helps guide me through. He knows so much about the financial structure and infrastructure of the regulations, how they coincide to FINRA, SEC, et cetera. And so he's a huge advisor for us as he's gone through a lot of those, kind of the frameworks himself, and even helped develop some of those. So he's a very crucial strategic partner and good friend of mine as well. That does a plethora of things just like myself. And so it was an honor to bring him on as well, because yes, we are working on solutions together in outside these endeavors, but they all tie back to empowering people, because we care about that, helping people become financially free, whatever that looks like to them, because everyone has a different appetite. Some people are insatiable, but we just try to help other individuals, either create their companies, consult with them, give them the SOPs, best practices. Typically do a pro bono. I keep trying to tell them we need to charge, but we just like doing the work, man.
Yeah. Well, so the biggest news that I saw, the headlines, and I'm a headline reader, so this is why we bring you guys on as the experts. What's the latest with the scheduling of cannabis? Because I know you do a lot of work with folks that may be nonviolent and have been in prison for years, which I say if they're nonviolent, and cannabis at this stage is as safe as alcohol, and alcohol is legal, and people are doing things with that. So I love the mission that you guys are building. But what's the latest with the headline with Trump? And I think it's making it like a less of a schedule, or moving it off of Schedule 1.
Yeah, so we've been working actually I worked with the last 4 administrations, and it's been a long time coming, but we're very proud because, and to get to stocks, in the financial markets of things, the rescheduling right now going from a 1 to 3 will allow open access to banking. It's going to really alleviate a lot of the restrictions, and we're taking 280E out, which just kind of crushes these cannabis companies.
What is, not to interrupt you, what's 280E? Because for those that are not, for me, I read it when I was doing research, but a lot of people probably don't know.
Oh yeah, so then thank you. 280E is it's a tax pretty much burden that some of these states, they put on these operators, and with that burden, you cannot write anything off. You can't get monies back, so they're losing a lot of money. Because they can't get that back, and so that 280E is being removed to allow them to have more mobility within this space. It should never been there in the first place, but I'm glad that folks like Weldon and I, Brad, we can advocate to make those changes. But that's what 280 is. It is a horrible tax that doesn't really allow any cannabis firms to or MSOs or any company, especially if you're a small business, to capitalize on any types of revenue. So that is a huge thing to change, because now, these companies can go to banks, they can get loans, they can compliantly partner, officially. And that is a huge pipeline. Right now, it's all private equity money, And now that we're seeing, New York Stock Exchange starting to take some of these guys and have those conversations, well, I'm very intrigued to see, how the market picks up. And I mean, we're kind of projecting it's going to pick up about 40 to 60% just based off of the numbers we've been doing with the DOJ on how much 280E does take away from the states. So it's really good. It's good for our organization.
Yeah. From a stock perspective, a lot of these were hot during the summer 2020. I remember like cannabis stocks were all over the place, and they'd go up 80%, down 80%, right? And then there was MSOS, which was like the big ETF for the US. But which companies are you looking at, without sharing insider information, of course, but everything that's public that you can share on some of these companies, which ones are you looking at that have been doing the right things? They're big enough to survive. They're, from what I see, and tell me if I'm wrong, there's just going to be a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the space, and like bigger names and brands. You're starting to see brands when you go to a store. You're seeing brands that familiar. In New York City, you see what's the Cookies. I know you know those guys well, and there's like a bunch of other brands that are popping up. But what are we looking at stock perspective? If you can share.
Yeah, so there's not going to be a lot. A lot of people aren't aware that once FDA comes very quickly, we're going to see an overhaul in regulation. I believe about 85% of the market across the U.S. in these states or medicinal states are non-compliant. So you're going to, if you're not going to be a high net worth, a publicly traded company, it's going to be very hard to transition into this and get adopted into the federal program. Based off of the which is good, based off the science, the data, the actual, harm reduction things that they still need to meet the requirements of. And so I definitely think that it's going to happen fairly quickly, but the companies that I think are going to outlast are going to be Ascend. Ascend is a very great company. They've been supporting us in our mission, no strings attached, we're doing roundup programs, turkey drives for us. All 100% goes to those incarcerated families as well, or individuals violent. It goes to helping us secure their releases, which, as you know, we got over about 500 individuals out thus far. So that's in Curaleaf, I would say maybe those are the two. And then to your point, you're going to see a massive consolidation come in with the big boys who paid. Just the Coke, the Cokes and Stand Together, America's Prosperity. They've donated the most into making these markets like by 3 times, and they don't own an asset. And that kind of, I'll just leave it there. But that if that raises any alarms to you, it did for me. So, but that's where this space is heading to. It's consolidation. It's heading towards the bigger players. And that's where our organization comes in, is we make sure to set a level playing field for all, or the best we can.
And Condi, from the marketing side of things, like how many restraints do you have? It's, I don't know if it's like cigarettes, you can't do ads on TV, right? So I haven't seen cannabis ads, but where are we at from maybe a legal perspective, and how do you help build brands, I guess?
I like to say everything in life it's marketing and sales. It doesn't matter what you do, whether it's the cannabis space, you're in the OnlyFans space, you do a lawn mower company, solar, anything like that. At the end of the day, it's whoever gets the most content. And, I see a lot of people wanting to spend money on TVs right now, or billboards or anything like that. And I think it's so silly. If you take a step back and you think about it, this is going to sound crazy, but everyone is pretty slow nowadays, at least 99% of the people, right? So as soon as they wake up in the morning, what's the first thing that they do? Is they roll over, they grab their phone, and, they start scrolling, right? You're driving down the street, no one's looking at billboards, listening to the radio. They're getting their information from TikTok and Instagram and every other social media platform. So, I say whoever wants to win, whatever business you're in 2026, is whoever gets the most content out is the winner.
Ryan Reynolds does a good job of that. Like he like as close to real time as possible. I think he has like an AI team that, I don't know if it's even him doing the ads, but like something pops up in the news, like they got an ad out the next day pretty much, which is
a bunch of clippers, right?
Yeah, being timely, relevant, and whatnot. So Where are you guys seeing, like, I know Canada was kind of like leading, and I'm viewing all this news from afar, but Canada was kind of leading the space for a while. Now, America is obviously a much, much bigger market. Where are we at from like a legislation? How close are we, to having federally potential legal cannabis if that ever happens? I know you're pretty close. I don't know, what you're able to share and what you're not able to share, but
Weldon let me know exactly. He let me know exactly what I could share. Yes, we do know that date. I can't share that. There's one more step that has to happen. So this is a multi-phase approach, 3-phase approach, rescheduling to make it more accessible, because we have to have an economically profitable market. Otherwise, there's no reason to. So we had to start from there, and then secondary. We are working on creating a council for decriminalization. We are expediting that. And so we cannot legalize until we decriminalize, because to your point, in individuals like Weldon, who, spent 12 years off of 3 grams of cannabis, nonviolent, there's still a lot of those individuals there. And so that's where we work to get them out, and are setting that council to go ahead and just really just clear the slate. And so that will take about a year. And then the federal side is, I'll be first to say it here, it's already developed. It's more so just following through with the campaigns, the cycles of things, and then getting all of the signups, because there's a lot of governmental entities that are involved, DOJ, the admin, FDA, small business administration, which I'm, as Avi, they're out that conversation now. But I think in 3 years, we'll look at it being federally legal. That's where we are, and it might be a little bit quicker. Trump has been very supportive of a lot of our initiatives, and we're quite we're perplexed, but he is very he's very moving, and he's actually, we were so shocked he wanted to do a decriminalization council. Like, we never thought any president would say that, and that was huge, man. So I think about 3 years.
You think it will happen during because his administration is till 2028, right? So is that the math? Did I do that math right? Yeah, 2024. So you think it will happen under his presidency then?
I think he's trying to make it happen. I don't know if he will get the pushback from the DOJ. It's really who's going to take credit for this type of conversation. But I do. He wants to get this out by that time. But politics, so
everything does take, and this is a big issue for a lot of, and the base of his voter base probably isn't cannabis, as friendly, if you think about it historically. So that is, it's interesting. Trump is a unique president, to say the least, right? Like, there's no one ever like him. You don't know what he'll say one day or the next, and a tweet sends the market up, billions of dollars or down billions of dollars very quickly. So, where do you guys see, the space going in terms of, will this consolidate? You mentioned to like 5 companies. Is there going to be, maybe Condi from like the brand perspective? Is there any brands that are out there that are, taking a huge lead that has that trust? I think that's a big thing. If you're ingesting something, you want to be able to trust that the brand is, not using certain terpenes or whatever they're using. But curious, what your take are on that.
I can't say too much on this one.
Okay.
So
we'll move to the Kalshi markets.
We're talking about the likelihood of during this term. I don't know if there's a good market for it, right? I guess will marijuana be rescheduled before 2027? 58% yes. 5 million.
I'll tell you the date. I mean, wait. Yeah, let's go over that. Actually, let's go over that first. Let's see what people say.
This is the alpha and poly on Kalshi.
I love this. This is and oh my gosh, I'm on the site all the time. So
again.
But so wait, what was the let me see the vote numbers. I just wanted to see how close they were before July 2020.
Brandon with an insider.
Okay. So don't say that.
Well, if it's publicly available, or maybe give reasons why you think directionally it could go?
I was given a permission from DOJ to say this.
Okay.
They are publishing the final rule and believe that they will announce by the end of this month or middle of next month the reschedule. The reschedule is already done. We are just trying to decide who's going to be on the council, chair the councils, understand whose roles, responsibilities, and things of that nature. So that will take us about this whole month to do. And that's, we meet Tuesdays and Thursdays for that. So it'll happen soon. It has to happen very quickly. And of course, like you said, Trump really wants this to happen quickly. He wants to do a lot for cannabis, as he has been doing, and he's been expediting things tremendously. So I wouldn't, next month.
Incredible.
Wow. Okay, before July, that's the
We're
big
going to
one.
move the markets. Let's see.
And that's where, to get into the stock side of things, and that's where Brandon, really helps me better understand as well, is, there's so much investor, there's no confidence in investing right now in cannabis for a good reason, because the regulations continue to evolve. They're often evolving, and, it's really restricted with that 280E tax. So with that, kind of just, and with the market not looking so good, there's just a lot of investor speculation for the worst. But if you look at when we scheduled, we got the rescheduling, articles out, cannabis, I believe all time they spiked. Well, the highest we've seen was 40, and then average was kind of 20 to 30% just off of that. So as more and more news it comes out, I believe, about, just the access to the banking side, the regulatory conditions that are now a little bit less, we're going to see a lot more monies come into this space, because now they could kind of, get pretty, so like Curaleaf, they're positioning to go on the New York Stock Exchange, Ascend. There's very few that are going to be able to do that, TrueLeaf. And then, everyone else will probably get consolidated by those large folks, and
It is fascinating. I was just looking at, like, if you like the play, is MSOS like the best ETF that's collecting U.S. stocks, I believe. Now, who do you think goes first? I don't know if you're up on Canada, but is Canada going to move quicker than us here? They're notoriously slow as well with things, but
I think they are going to wait. I think they're going to wait, because they already messed up kind of very bad by creating so much space and land for people. They have an excess of cannabis that they have to destroy, and some operators have to spend a lot of money to destroy that. And so they're trying not to get ahead of themselves too much. And a lot of states understand that we're drafting federal language, and it's not going to be forced on the states. They will be able to opt in, but that's something where, just aligning best practices, informing them, because sometimes they're just misinformed, is where that kind of comes into play.
Yeah. And I know there's cannabis as the technology sector of it as well. So I know, like, Weed Maps was a space. I know you're building something, so I don't know how far I can ask about that, but I know you're raising money right now.
Whatever you'd like to ask, man.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about Tetra, because I think it is interesting for folks that are in the cannabis space that don't want to make a bet on necessarily a specific, stock. There's tech that is a big piece of this. So, like, Weed Maps used to tell people where they could go within their city to go find a dispensary, right? Yeah. And so you guys are building something unique, and you've told me a lot, so I don't know what I can share, but
I mean, I'm
you're talking to, like, countries about implementing this as well.
I mean, I give the full scope, briefly. So I'm partnering with the state of California to develop, e-commerce platforms in partnership that I fully, funded and implemented through my coalition of partners. And so we are running the first pilot program of its kind. It's going to very mimic what's going to be the federal level. And the platforms are needed. The cannabis space is archaic. Like, I know individuals, sometimes I had to bring millions of dollars in tax revenues in a duffel bag, and people don't realize you have to have 2 cars follow you by legal law. There's so many inefficiencies, and that's why I really love rescheduling too, because you're going to see crypto regulation, start to really take this infrastructure over. And I cannot wait for that, man. It's so much more efficient to utilize those platforms. But with Tetra, we are a democratized crowdfunding platform. We partner with Delmore Group, who they've done over 40 billion in cannabis fundraising. We have, like I said, that direct to consumer app. We just partnered with an insurance company. We're doing AI insurance. And when I'm working with countries like Antigua, where they're clean slates, obviously I'm writing their entire bill, tax codes and things. So for that, we are going to implement tax collection and accounting services for them and HR services, and really and we are going to fully operate and automate this sector through all of these tech platforms and house them under one, and partner directly with localities, which we have, and state entities, and soon to be the federal government.
Yeah. And you're doing a raise right now. Can you tell us, like, what's that like? We talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and I love to hear the raising story, because we hear about companies that knocked on 120 doors. I think was one of the guys we brought on, and he said 120 people said no, and then 121 said yes. And so not sure if I know you're just starting your raise right now, but any crazy stories or just like things for entrepreneurs that are listening of what to expect?
Expect the unexpected. Expect to not close a deal within 15 calls. You should have about 15 calls before, really 30, before you feel comfortable enough to close deals at that level. You really got to vet, and make sure you align value-wise. Make sure that your business strategies align. You as individuals align. So I would say, just be open to listening. Even if you don't need to apply it, just listening. You might be able to apply that later. And that's something, obviously you've been teaching me for a while. And so that's something that I would really recommend to those individuals and also, if you are going to dream it, you have to be it. Something Brandon is very well versed in is, really following through on what is being said and actually finding and, strategizing. We're very solution orientated. We don't look at a problem at all. We're like, how can we solve this? And I think that's the mindset you have to have. You're always going to run into I love problems. I really don't call them problems. It's learning. I get data. I love data. So I'm like, I need to do this better. I need to do this better. And I think it's a daily consistent process. If any entrepreneur wants to be an entrepreneur, this is a day-to-day thing. Even when you have off days, you don't have off, you shouldn't. And say, to Berner's case, when I worked in cookies, he didn't even know half the stuff he was in the news about. But if you're the face of the company, everything will fall on you. So make sure that you have a great team. Make sure that you have a loyal team, and you trust each other. You're transparent, and things should be, it should be a fun work environment if you're intentionally passionately loving what you're doing.
No, I love that
you're really going after investors that are aligned with the industry, that already know the cannabis industry, and that you're not having to start at square one of explaining why you believe regulation is going to get there. Like, they're already up to speed on second base of where the opportunity is going forward.
Yes, and they're open to it. When I speak to them, like, they are open to these solutions, and that's where I think in tandem, we're going to see a lot of these regulations. Like, for me, I have to go through the Reg A, the Jobs Act, like the Reg CFs, the Reg Ds, but I would much rather do a tokenized fundraise. Like, by far, it's just not there yet. But like we said, after we get the decrim, then that will be able to happen. So I'm just biding my time in that space. And that's where you'll see the stocks. Like, we have as obvious, you're still welcome to come to the White House event. We're going to come out with a lot of information during that time. So I expect the stocks to kind of bounce back as now, people will know what's going on with the policy. No one knew what was going on. So I wasn't even going to invest, so I got to figure out what's going on first. So now that we can start to release this framework, I think there's going to be a lot more confidence and money that's coming into the space.
Yeah. Well, we're a Bitcoin focused show, but I did see a lot of parallels, with banking. You guys had the same, lack of clarity, right? They just didn't tell you what to do. And these are now legitimate businesses, both on crypto, Bitcoin, and cannabis that, people are doing them. They're just working in this gray area. So I think, once there's a lot more clarity, those stocks eventually will go up. It'd be interesting to see from an ETF perspective if you just want to take the industry. But I like what you're building too. It's kind of, it is in the cannabis space and you have a background in that space, but it's really a tech company, right? And
it's for all. I mean, it's that's where the stepping stone is, but it's really it's called Deed, right? The crowdfunding, because Deed is just a ownership of something. So we have companies there, non-plant touching. We have real estate. We partnered with local cities to put their tiny homes on there. So it's not limited to us. It's just that is a space that that we need right now. And my competition to implement is the SBA, and as historically it's been very hard for disadvantaged individuals, and really as any individual, to obtain those. And so that is what we're well positioned to do, and we'll continue to fight that as Brandon helps me go crazy on marketing. And man, he's a guru at that, because there's also the narrative that needs to be spoken about, the problems, the solutions, this conversation here. So we're going to have a lot more of that.
Yeah. I had a question for Condi, and I didn't mean to, you brought it up with like OnlyFans, and I'm seeing these AI things that are on Twitter now, where I don't know if they're real or not, but it's like a guy that's maybe in India, and then there's like a blonde woman that's standing in front of him. So like, what's happening? You said you kind of jump from industry to industry, whatever's like hot. Do you think the OnlyFans revolution will stick around, or do you think people are going to get weirded out if they know that's not actually a real person at the other end? It's more of a could be the same sex. It could be a man behind the AI there.
Muted. You muted.
You're muted.
There you go. No, I was just describing earlier how every business is the same, whether it's OnlyFans or it's this, that, and the third. Marketing's all the same. But to answer your question, I feel like a lot of guys are lonely and they just want someone to speak to, and like this AI companionship is there. And as crazy as it sounds, they have somebody to talk to, and they're paying.
Yeah.
So.
Look at Japan. Look in Japan. Like,
they'll pay to watch people eat.
With the waifu kind of avatar there. Like most used in Japan. Japan is I think, like to Brandon's point, like some guys just truly don't care. Some guys actually prefer that too. Like everyone has their own differences. So we will see, I think, that space, in my personal opinion, definitely just continue to rise. But that doesn't mean that the other side isn't going anywhere as well, because you want to see the real too.
Yeah. One parallel, I think, too, I was reading last night, just going through our conversation today, is last night or this week. So this is Packy McCormick of Not Boring Capital. And so he does his newsletter, like email, and he was breaking down how our own U.S. food pyramid came out in 1991 and 1992. It valued, the big 11 to 12 servings of bread and highly processed foods. And then you have like sweets at the very top. You have like meat, very small in the middle. And he was optimistic in the same way that you were optimistic about marijuana getting rescheduled and not being a criminal activity, is they're actually going in and making a sick website, right? So we're talking about all businesses sales. They're actually doing a good job marketing this.
Nice.
Admitting that they're wrong about this one that we all grew up with in the 90s. And then they roll out like a pretty slick, like new food pyramid that is, we'll get to it.
That's nice.
It's integrated. It's cool.
Yeah, it's engaging.
Yeah. And I think this is, it's some of us could be driven by the MAHA movement, make America healthy again. But it's also rethinking what we, previously thought before. We held on to, marijuana's bad and it's a criminal activity. But really, if we're willing to do that with the food pyramid and what we're ingesting in our bodies every single day, 3 meals a day or 5 meals a day, whatever you do, then we should have a same mindset. So I think Packy in his letter was very optimistic that, okay, we can make big changes. We don't have to let the industries that are incumbents tell us we need 12 servings of highly processed Twinkies or, you know, whatever it is. So I think in the same way that does actually make me more bullish after reading that on this, that the reschedule.
No, that you're entirely right. You are so correct that so my personal thing that I'm most excited about rescheduling, like, yeah, the access to banking is crucial, but it's really the access to universities now. Universities are going to be able to create curriculums, classes off this, and we're going to start to see really the actual data come. You know, we're not going to see these terms, indicas, sativas, like a lot of that's not the scientifically specific way to talk about the cannabinoids within. So I think there will be, safety standards. They're already kind of creating those, for like non-combustible vapes, things like that in the space. This is going to be something that they will create, that kind of does, like you said, kind of layer out like even with the pyramid of things that can be done.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah. I was going to just give a quick story too. I think from like a health perspective, it does save a lot of people. Like my neighbor, I saw him smoking a joint. So pretty funny story, but he's like, yeah, if I didn't have this, I'd be on pills and I'd be taking like heavy sedatives and muscle relaxers and things like that. And like he said, a joint helps his back completely. And the science behind it, and I'm sure you guys could elaborate here, but there's like cannabis that can last for like an hour and you can like time it out now. I was talking to someone a while back about an Israeli company building that, but you could like basically time it out.
Yeah, there's time release.
Yeah, time release. Like that what's happening in the tech side is pretty interesting. And if it's a lot healthier and safer, I'm all for it.
It's amazing. I think I mentioned to you, I'm working with the largest, tech provider for those solutions. They're the only company with an H&B, which is a heat not burn situation. So it's non-combustible, and they're only FDA approved so far. They've been running clinical trials for like, over 10 years. And so they have insurmountable data, and I love working with them because of that as well. They're really about the health, the safety of what that is, and they have a lot of data to back that up as well. And so we're having them partner with universities like UC Davis, UC Berkeley, so that they can co-create those those articles and really just best practices based off of the actual data and science behind it. And that's when I think the space will start to get cleaned up, because it's so, to your point of like some things keep you high for, like there is no real standard, and that sometimes gets people in trouble. You might think you're just smoking a little joint, and you don't know that this is this high of quality, or you don't know it's this low of quality, or you don't even know what was in it, because a lot of times they don't even keep track of that. There's so few testing labs that there's a lot of trickery that goes on, and so I'm just very excited for the real science to come out.
There's so many parallels between the industries. I think they're kind of being birthed around the same time. They're figuring it out through the government, and so it is fascinating. And people are wondering, like, why do we have cannabis on this space? But it is the one day we do midweek markets where we talk about kind of other sectors that are analogous, to what we're doing. So, last question I want to ask, and I don't know if you're familiar, but I know with the Maha movement, he was pretty like open towards like magic mushrooms and things like that, so are there like companies out there, I don't know if that's like being looked at the same time as cannabis? There was, I think it was not Magic Mind, sorry, it was a different brand that's out there right now. I think the ticker was like MNDA or something around that, that is building a company for magic mushrooms. Now, is that something that is going to be legalized, you think, or is that punted far down the road here from here?
No, that's not too far off. That's going to happen fairly quickly. As you know, Oregon, they decriminalize, or you see in California. So I already founded a new foundation that is going to help tackle that, and those issues, educate and inform people about those issues. So I do think that we will see that coming very, very quickly as well.
Amazing. Well, anything else you guys want to share? We could wrap up. I know how should people reach you if they want to invest. And none of this is financial advice, but Brandon, I co-sign you.
I appreciate that. You guys can reach out to my LinkedIn. I'll put it in the comment section if you guys would like to reach out. If you guys want to reach out and you have any questions as well, feel free to do that. I'm open book. I love to knowledge share, and definitely open for that too. If you want to learn more about the opportunity, definitely reach out on my LinkedIn. That's where the work gets done and where I pay most attention to. Or you can reach out to Avi as well. Honestly, you'll get to me too.
So. People reaching out, I'm gonna have to send them over. So thank you guys for coming on. Condi, anything closing words you want to share?
Follow your heart.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome, guys. I'll see you. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us.
Jody, you want to wrap it up with tomorrow's guest or what we have going on for tomorrow's Daily Stack?
Yeah, so tomorrow we have Publius and Infra. It's going to be the macro week. Last week was the first one. I think Infra really brought it, had a great background. And then this week, he's got his work cut out for him, with everything we're seeing on the tariffs in the EU, we're seeing with Greenland and the markets reacting to it. There is a lot to cover. So we're going to start out there. And then I got to see if we have a guest coming on right after that. But Thursday's going to be a packed day. I really appreciate you guys coming on. And we'll be here every day at 12:30 Eastern.
Thank you. You mind if I say one closing comment?
Yeah, of course.
So I did want to mention that, the cannabis story isn't over. It really is just beginning. Like the first chapter was the hype, the MedMins, the real bulk of cannabis stock. Now it's survival about trying to just keep it. But we're going to see this third phase, which is approaching this year very quickly, where we see infrastructure grow in tandem with blockchain, like you mentioned, Avi. They are kind of in tandem. It's quite crazy around this year, but that's wonderful for us because we do want to implement those efficient blockchain, like network, like structures that will make this so much more efficient. And the winners aren't going to be the biggest brands or the loudest brands. They're really going to be the ones who align, with the regulation, efficiency, and organizations like ours that push those policies. And lastly, I just appreciate your time, man. Like this space is incredible. I'm going to join it a bunch, and I'm very proud of you for hosting this space as well, connecting so many individuals and giving myself and Brandon an opportunity to, just share our stories as well. So thank you guys so much and keep up the great work.
No, 100%. Thank you guys both for popping on and everyone for listening. And Brandon, and Condi, we'll have to have you back as some of the bills pass, and we'll see the next chapter. But thanks for popping on.
You always know.